We interrupt this program to bring you a special news bulletin. The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, by air, President Roosevelt has just announced.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. With confidence in our armed forces, with the unbounding determination of our people, we will gain the inevitable triumph, so help us God.
The march of time. The battlefields of America are the production lines, the sweat and muscle and brains of men pounding out the tools of victory, slugging out more and more and more. A mighty industrial program moving faster and faster. Labor supply to match it lagging behind. Men designating themselves an emergency committee, representatives of government, leading industrialists. They were determined no woman should cash a check, board a bus, see a movie, or walk down the street without getting acquainted with the idea that she was needed. A woman's committee walked the streets and knocked on the doors. 3 women on your block say they'd get a war job if their neighbor did. How about you?
Somebody had written me the letter from out here in California and said I could make more working out here in a day than I could in a week back there.
So what'd you do?
Well, I told the woman about it that's sitting at the machine next to me, and she said, if you want to go to California with me, you can be ready at 6 o'clock this evening. I really got to move on.
When factory work opened up, it was like a godsend because there you was earning pretty good money. And my Social Security number, I remember it from heart, almost from the first day, 366249339. I thought that was so terrific that I had a Social Security card and I carried it around in my purse. They sent me right out as soon as I got my Social Security card to a factory.
We were going to get in on the ground floor and be welders forever and ever. And the work on gliders, too, was really very much what I wanted, because it was almost an art as well as a skill. It was a very, very beautiful kind of work.
It takes human power to keep war factories going, and much of our manpower is going to war. More and more men are being called into the armed forces. Their jobs must be filled, and filled now. And who can fill them? You women. You're the ones who must fill them, who can give our boys what they need. If you need training, you can get it, and it's free. We must win this war. But we can't win this war unless you women take over the jobs that men are leaving. And you're needed right now.
I said, come on, we can go and get in the shipyards. And so when I tried to get into the shipyards, they told me I had to go to school. And then I found out about Samuel Gompers, and I went to Samuel Gompers and took training for ship fitter.
Men had been telling us all along the line that, oh, it takes 6 years to become a welder. You've got to be an apprentice, you've got to be this. They had been sold a bill of goods in their lives. You see, it wasn't true at all. It just worked out for bosses to do that. Actually, it could be learned and learned well if it was taught well in a short period of time.
He told me I'd passed 98%. He said, you've got good grades, you passed 98%. Do you know anything that a person's really interested in, why they make better grades at it than something they don't like to do?
In the sprawling aircraft factories on the West Coast, teams of women flush the rivets that hold together the aluminum skin on the wing of a B-24. This is like punching holes in a tin of scouring powder. Instead of cutting out dresses, this woman stamps out the patterns of airplane parts. They are taking to welding as though the welding rod were a needle and the metal a length of cloth to be sewn. After a short apprenticeship, a woman can operate this press as easily as a juice extractor in her own kitchen. And a lathe will hold no more terrors for her than an electric washing machine.
As our armed forces grew, so did their demands for equipment, supplies, food, materiel of all kinds. The need for women grew desperate, and thousands of women answered the call. The Hidden Army drew fresh recruits. Its ranks grew to nearly 18 million. Many of these women came from walks of life not previously considered. The mothers, the young, the aged. When they were asked why they had joined the ranks of the Hidden Army, these women gave a variety of reasons.
My husband's a prisoner of the Japs in the Philippines. If he'd had a few more of these shells out in Bataan, maybe he'd still be fighting.
I'm an old maid, and I didn't have anyone until I took this defense job. Now, I have a family of 10 million to look after.
Why did I take a defense job? That's a funny question. I never thought of that before. Do you have to have a reason? We're in a jam, aren't we? I'm sorry, but you'll have to excuse me. I'm too busy to answer damn fool questions like that.
Somehow that answer pleased us. No sudden emotional urge sent this young woman into war work. No loss of a loved one. No temporary economic embarrassment. No mere yearning for excitement or novelty. There are millions like her. There will have to be.